This one, nuclear power thing, pros, cons. Okay. Tell me about some of the problems, or tell me some of the things that we could be doing that other countries are already doing with their nuclear facilities. What are some differences between us and other countries?
You could use Japan. They're supposed to be by far one of the most technology savvy, I don't know what you would call them, people, and yet what happened in the power plant, they didn't calculate what the tsunami could do to the power plant because of that, nuclear reactors went on.
Okay, so they had the Fukushima accident, right, because of the tsunami. So those are some things we have to kind of worry about. What are some ways to kind of get around problems like that? Maybe not have it on an island. So island countries like Japan have to consider that since they're like on active, active tectonic plates.
We can build like
something that's kind of dangerous.
build barriers.
What?
Barriers around it, maybe.
Barriers around it. Would we have considerable problems like that in the United States?
No, because we have more places that we can choose from than just islands.
What would be a good geographical place to place nuclear reactors? The deserts, right now. A lot of people out there. Wasn't that one of the things? Like, what's the difference between the ecological risks of nuclear versus the ecological risks of like our other non-renewables? What's the difference? Do these has nuclear caused as many deaths as our conventional energy sources? No. So what are we afraid of then?
The potential.
Yeah.
That's potential, right? It has the potential to do a lot worse. What are some things? What are some other things that could potentially damage our nuclear reactors? Any attack?
With so much power that they have.
You're talking about terrorist attacks? Yeah. Terrorist attacks. So these are susceptible to things like terrorist attacks. Who had this one purple? Who's purple group? You were. You guys were blue. Who had the purple stuff? Purple stuff.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about what you guys found. Try to hold the. See which way is the microphone on?
I don't know.
So hold it from this thing. Right? Be gentle. All right. Tell us a little bit about what you guys found.
That the U.S. is the world's largest producer of nuclear power.
That's kind of interesting, right? That's really interesting. So we do have the most nuclear power, but what is it? What percentage of our energy is comprised from nuclear energy?
Very little.
No, it was higher than 3. There was actually a pie chart in the book. Who has got the book on them? Who's got the book? Get the book out. We have a breakdown. They're on the perimeter of the class. Find that chart where it says how much energy we get from fossils, how much we get from renewables, how much we get from non-renewables.
We get 20% from nuclear fuel.
20% of our energy comes from nuclear fuel. Can you find how many nuclear factories we have? Find how many nuclear factories we have in the United States.
Wait, what?
How many nuclear power plants do we have in the United States? 99, right? About 100. So we have about 100 nuclear plants, and they make 20% of our energy. Have we ever had a terroristic attack on any of our power plants? No, we haven't, right? Is it possible to sabotage a coal plant? Is it possible to take out like a power grid or something like that too? Like all of our transformers? You know, there's only a couple of factories in the entire United States that make those little like circular cylindrical transformer things, right, on the power lines. If you were to take out those facilities, you'd be out of energy for months and months in a lot of places in the United States. So a lot of our power plants are actually it would be the worst thing in the world if somebody were to attack any of them, right? But what sort of security measures do we have around like oil facilities and coal plants? You could almost just walk right up to some of them, right? In fact, there was this really funny story in the summer. This group of nuns who like saved the planet. They were anti-nuclear. They were climbing over the fence at like a nuclear power plant. They caught him, and I think they put him to death or something. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, all of our plants are very lightly guarded at best, right? You have like security guards and things like that. I would say that these things, if attacked, it would be like the worst thing in the world. It's very hard to clean up the mess, the radioactive waste. But you kind of have to look at reality. Like we really haven't had a threat on any of these plants yet. We've had them since the 70s, 60s, 70s. We really haven't had a problem. What should we be more interested? What should we be more concerned about with our old power plants? What's something we should be a lot more concerned about with our power plants? Have we made a lot of new power plants in the last 10 years? Where are these all from? Like what time period are all of our power plants from? 80s and before, right? So would you say that they're modern or pretty outdated? They're outdated, right? They're pretty outdated. So if we're going to have issues at our power plants, if we're going to have meltdowns, are they going to be from outside attackers and invaders? No, they're just going to be from inefficiencies and malfunctions from old systems, right? So is it worth, in your mind, upgrading these things and spending money on infrastructure and spending money on investing in our nuclear power? Especially if we're going to keep them, right? If we're not at least going to advance and make new reactors, we should at least probably modernize these. And if you look into like local legislation and things like that, you might find that that there's a lot of things that block. Do you want a nuclear power plant in your backyard? No. You want to look at one every day when you go outside? No. Perhaps not. I mean, there's no logical reason why you wouldn't. I mean, why should it bother you? Well, I mean, it's just there. We need power, right? It's got to be somewhere. So why would it inherently bother you? But it just kind of does, right? It gets to like your bones a little bit, right? So a lot of people, they say that not in my backyard sort of thing. Just like prisons. Like, yeah, we like prisons because you put all the criminals in there and they're not overpopulated. You're like, okay, let's put it right here by Warren. You're like, no, let's not put a prison right there. I don't want to go to school with a prisoner, right? So it's the same thing with power plants, but I mean, you could do the same thing with like a coal plant, right? Would you want a coal plant in your backyard? Would you want a natural gas plant in your backyard? If any of those were to explode, like you imagine a coal plant exploding or a natural gas plant exploding, if that exploded in your backyard, you'd probably be dead too, no matter what. Okay? So these are things to kind of think about. Hopefully you kind of remember like the risks and the cost benefit and everything. But what you should take away from this is that we are one of the leading producers of nuclear energy. But just the few plants that we have, it comprises a fifth of our energy. So that's pretty important, and it's something to consider as we start running out of our conventional fuels, right? All right, good job. So that's up. We're going to go ahead and. What was y'all's position on nuclear energy?
As like a group or as like an individual?
As like a what? Every time you're talking, go ahead and hold on to it and just talk into it. What do you guys think?
It's also upside down.
Does it matter though?
Yeah, kind of.
So take position. Worth pursuing, not worth pursuing?
I think it's worth pursuing because, like, although it might have some hazardous waste, but the potential of it powering most of our daily needs is pretty high. So, I'm for it.
Okay, so that's a little bit of the risks. Anything else to add? Anybody against? Anybody against? What group? Which group are you guys?